When a funeral procession is present. Fill in the blank. Has the right of way. A. Another driver. B. A pedestrian. C. The funeral procession. D. A bicyclist. C. The funeral procession. Drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists must yield the right of way to funeral processions. When the lead vehicle enters an intersection, the remaining vehicles in the funeral procession may follow through the intersection regardless of any traffic control devices. Crosswalks are A. Always indicated by vertical pavement markings. B. Always indicated by horizontal pavement markings. C. Either indicated by pavement markings or are not marked at all. D. Always unmarked. C. Either indicated by pavement markings or are not marked at all. Crosswalks exist whether the lines are marked or unmarked. Drivers must stop behind the crosswalk to allow any pedestrians to cross. What does alcohol do to your driving skills and judgment? A. It helps driving skills but harms your judgment. B. It harms both driving skills and judgment. C. It has no effect on either driving skills or judgment. D. It has no effect on judgment but it harms driving skills. B. It harms both driving skills and judgment. Alcohol negatively affects many skills needed for safe driving, including your reaction time and ability to see clearly. It can also harm your judgment of speed and distance, lower your inhibitions, and make you more prone to taking chances. This sign means A. Left turn yield on green. B. One way. C. Cattle crossing. D. Two-way left turn. A. Left turn yield on green. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign indicates that drivers turning left at a green light must yield to oncoming traffic and may complete the turn when it is safe to do so.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
Your vehicle's stopping distance increases when stopping. A. On a wet or icy road. B. On paved highways. C. When driving at night. D. All of the above. If you stop at a railroad crossing with more than one track. A. Wait to proceed until you have a clear view of all tracks. B. Stop on the first railroad track and watch for another train. C. Go through as soon as the train passes. D. Go through when one of the tracks is free. A. Wait to proceed until you have a clear view of all tracks. If you are stopped at a railroad crossing with more than one track, do not start moving as soon as a train passes. Wait until you have a clear view down all tracks before you start across. Even where there is only one track, do not start across immediately after a train passes. Check again for another train that may be approaching. When you see this sign, it means A. There is an object on the roadway. B. Traffic is coming from the right. C. The road is curving sharply to the left. D. There is a merge point ahead. C. The road is curving sharply to the left. Chevron signs like this indicate that the road curves sharply in the direction indicated by the chevron, in this case, to the left. There may be several chevron signs placed throughout a curve. When driving under icy or snowy conditions, Which driving technique will help drivers avoid crashes? A. Add extra weight to their vehicles to improve traction. B. Get off the highways as quickly as possible. C. Engage the four-wheel drive on their vehicles. D. Reduce their speed and increase their following distance. D. Reduce their speed and increase their following distance. Reduce your speed when roads are snow-covered or icy. Doing this and increasing your following distance are the most important techniques for avoiding crashes under snowy or icy conditions. Unless otherwise posted, the speed limit in cities and towns is A. 10 miles per hour. B. 35 miles per hour. C. 45 miles per hour. D. 65 miles per hour. B. 35 miles per hour. Unless otherwise posted, the speed limit in cities and towns is 35 miles per hour. If a different speed limit is posted, you should follow that speed limit. This sign shows one type of A. Right turn. B. Intersection. C. Lane change. D. Road curve. B. Intersection. This sign indicates that AT intersection is ahead. This sign is used to prevent A. Entrance to full parking lots. B. Entrance to road construction areas. C. Entrance to dead-end streets. D. Entrances from the wrong direction on one-way streets and expressway ramps. D. Entrances from the wrong direction on one-way streets and expressway ramps. This sign warns that a road has one-way traffic and you must not enter from your current direction. When you want to make a right turn, your car must be A. Near the center of the street. B. Close to the left side of the street. C. Close to the right side of the street. D. Past the center of the intersection when you begin to turn. C. Close to the right side of the street. As you prepare to make a right turn, you should get as far to the right side of the road as possible. Do not cut across lanes of traffic to perform any turn. If you refuse to take a chemical test when requested by an officer, the Division of Motor Vehicles will A. Place you on probation. B. Not do anything specific. C. Assign you to an improvement program. D. Revoke your driver license. D. Revoke your driver license. Refusal to perform a chemical test will result in the immediate revocation of your driver license for at least 30 days and an additional revocation of at least 12 months by the DMV. You may not cross a single broken white or yellow line. A. When doing so would interfere with traffic. B. When turning left into a driveway. C. When the car in front of you is disabled. D. When passing to the right on a one-way street. A. When doing so would interfere with traffic. You may cross a single broken line to pass or change lanes as long as you can do so safely and without interfering with traffic. This sign means A. Trucks under 18,000 pounds. Allowed. B. Hill ahead. C. Truck stop ahead. D. No trucks allowed. B. Hill ahead. This sign warns that there is a steep hill ahead. This road sign means A. Sharp right turn. B. A road joins from the right. C. The road ahead turns sharply right, then sharply left. D. Winding road ahead. C. The road ahead turns sharply right, then sharply left. This sign indicates that the road ahead turns sharply to the right and then sharply to the left. A driver license is required for which of the following: an NBSP, an NBSP, an NBSP, an NBSP, I. Sitting in the driver's seat of a car while the engine is running, an NBSP, an NBSP, an NBSP, an NBSP, 2. Steering a car while it is being pushed or towed by another vehicle. A. I only. B. 2 only. C. Both I and 2. D. Neither I nor 2. C. Both I and 2. If you do not have a valid driver license, it is illegal to sit in the driver's seat of a motor vehicle while the engine is running or to steer a motor vehicle while it is being pushed or towed by another vehicle. This road sign means: A. School crossing. B. Pedestrian crossing. C. Jogging trail. D. Busy sidewalk. B. Pedestrian crossing. This sign indicates the presence of a pedestrian crossing. You should watch for people entering a crosswalk or crossing your path. Slow down and be prepared to stop. If you come to a roadway covered in water, you should: A. Drive until you think the water is too deep. B. Turn around and find another way to go. C. Drive through, as it is unlikely the standing water will become too deep. D. Walk out into the water to determine its depth. B. Turn around and find another way to go. If you come to a roadway that is flooded, turn around and find another way to go. Do not attempt to drive through the water. It is impossible to determine the depth or current and your vehicle could become submerged or swept away. A yellow and black diamond-shaped sign. A. Warns you about conditions on or near the road. B. Helps direct you to cities and towns ahead. C. Tells you about traffic laws and regulations. D. Tells you about road construction ahead. A. Warns you about conditions on or near the road. Warning signs, which tell you about conditions on or near the road ahead, are usually diamond-shaped with black symbols or words on a yellow background. Which is not a factor in determining the distance that it takes to stop your vehicle. A. Steering ability. B. Braking distance. C. Reaction distance. D. Perception time. When passing a large vehicle, the driver of a small vehicle must be prepared for: A. Loud noises. B. Excess air pollution. C. Wind gusts produced by the large vehicle. D. Falling vehicle parts. C. Wind gusts produced by the large vehicle. Large vehicles can cause wind gusts with a force great enough to cause direction changes in smaller vehicles. Drivers of small vehicles should be prepared to take proper corrective steering action when approaching or passing large vehicles that are moving at or near maximum speeds. You will have: fill in the blank added to your driving record for passing a stopped school bus. A. 1 point. B. 2 points. C. 4 points. D. 5 points. D. 5 points. In North Carolina, points will accumulate against your driving record if you are convicted of certain traffic infractions. You will have 5 points added against your license if you pass a stopped school bus or if you are driving aggressively. This sign means A. Yield. B. Crossroad ahead. C. Keep right. D. Yield ahead. A. Yield. Traffic signs with 3 sides of equal length warn drivers to slow down when approaching an intersection and to be prepared to come to a complete stop to yield to other drivers or pedestrians. Drivers may proceed when it is safe to do so. This sign means A. No left turn. B. No stopping. C. No U-turn. D. Detour ahead. C. No U-turn. This sign indicates that U-turns are prohibited. This road sign means A. You must travel at the speed indicated. B. The maximum legal speed on the roadway is 55 miles per hour. C. You must travel through the intersection at the posted speed. D. None of the above. B. The maximum legal speed on the roadway is 55 miles per hour. This is a speed limit sign. It indicates the maximum legal speed that you may drive on the road where it is posted. At times of rain, snow, ice, or other less than ideal conditions, you may have to drive more slowly than the posted limit. When stopped for a traffic violation or at an equipment check, the driver must produce A. Proof of insurance. B. Their license. C. Proof of registration. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. When stopped for a traffic violation or at an equipment check, the driver is responsible for producing their license, proof of registration, and proof of insurance. Drivers are required to have all 3 of these documents in a vehicle when it is being driven. Night driving can be more difficult than driving during the day because A. Cars overheat more quickly at night. B. Visibility is reduced in the dark. C. It is more likely to be raining at night. D. You are more likely to encounter a motorcycle at night. B. Visibility is reduced in the dark. At night, your field of vision is reduced. To make sure you are able to react to hazards on the roadway, always use appropriate headlights. Drive slowly enough that you are able to stop within the distance that you can see ahead. When you see this black and yellow sign, it means A. The road to the right is for one-way traffic only. B. That due to upcoming roadwork, there is a detour to the right. C. Slow down because the road ahead changes direction at an extreme angle. D. There is a crossroad to your right. C. Slow down because the road ahead changes direction at an extreme angle. This sign indicates that the road ahead changes direction at an extreme angle, in this case, to the right. Before you reach such an extreme curve, you should slow down as much as you would when making a turn at an intersection. When approached by an emergency vehicle that is using its siren and/or flashing lights, a driver must immediately A. Pull to the right and stop. B. Pull to the right and slow down. C. Pull to the right and turn on their vehicle's four-way flashers. D. Stop and let the emergency vehicle pass. The effect that lack of sleep has on your safe driving ability is the same as A. The effect that alcohol has. B. The effect that amphetamines have. C. The effect that anger has. D. The effect that driving with teenagers has. A. The effect that alcohol has. Fatigue and being under the influence of alcohol have similar effects on your ability to drive safely. For example, being awake for 18 hours impairs your driving about as much as a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. Being awake for 24 hours in a row has the same effect on your driving as a blood alcohol level of 0.10%. The most effective thing you can do to reduce your risk of being injured or killed in a traffic crash is to A. Wear your seat belt. B. Limit your driving to weekdays. C. Stay in the right lane on multi-lane highways. D. Limit your driving to hours between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. A. Wear your seat belt. Wearing your seat belt is the single most effective thing you can do to reduce your risk of death or injury while driving. Fill in the blank. Limit your concentration, perception, judgment, and memory. A. Only a blood alcohol level greater than the legal limit can. B. Alcohol does not. C. Even the smallest amount of alcohol can. D. Only a blood alcohol level greater than 0.05% can. C. Even the smallest amount of alcohol can. Even the smallest amount of alcohol will reduce your concentration, perception, judgment and memory, and your driving skills will suffer. No one can drink and drive safely. An arrow painted on the pavement means A. Drivers in the proper lane may make the movement indicated by the arrow, if they choose to do so. B. Drivers in the proper lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow, but only if traffic lights are not working. C. Drivers in the proper lane must always come to a complete stop before making the movement indicated by the arrow. D. Drivers in the proper lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow while following directions indicated by traffic signals. D. Drivers in the proper lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow while following directions indicated by traffic signals. An arrow painted on the pavement within a traffic lane indicates that drivers in the lane must make the movement indicated by the arrow. Drivers should follow directions given by any traffic signs or signals before proceeding in the direction indicated by the arrow. Who is required to wear a seat belt in a moving vehicle? A. Only the driver. B. Only front seat passengers. C. Only back seat passengers. D. All of the vehicle's occupants. D. All of the vehicle's occupants. In North Carolina, the driver and all passengers in a motor vehicle manufactured with seat belts must have the seat belts properly fastened at all times when the vehicle is in forward motion on a street or highway. Under the seat belt law, all occupants must wear seat belts, even if the vehicle is equipped with airbags. When getting ready to change lanes, you should A. Check your side view mirror. B. Check your rear view mirror. C. Quickly turn your head to check for other vehicles. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Before changing lanes, check your side and rear view mirrors for traffic approaching you from behind. Just before you begin moving into the other lane, quickly glance over your shoulder and check for any vehicles that may be in your blind spot. Certain highway signs require drivers to obey an indicated instruction. Such signs are known as A. Regulatory signs. B. Warning signs. C. Information signs. D. Guide signs. A. Regulatory signs. Regulatory signs require drivers to obey an indicated instruction. Failure to comply is subject to penalty.